This is Cheryl's Walgie again from Astral Connections, and here with me I have Rocky Krogfoss. Did I say that right?
You did.
Rocky considers himself a healer and a teacher.
Yes.
And I met Rocky not very long ago, and he's made quite an impression on me. I think we have a lot to learn from Rocky, and hopefully this interview will tell us who Rocky is. So before we talk about what you do and how you're going to be our new addition here at Astral Connections, can we talk a little bit about you as an individual?
Sure.
Maybe about your personal life, your life as you were growing up?
Sure. Well, I had what appears to be now a classic 50s child life, and that is I had a difficult life as a child. I grew up in a family where the parents divorced, and I was the oldest of 5 boys. And my father was very violent, and he was violent mentally and physically with me. And I was the oldest. I became the battered mother, so it was all part of my karmic blueprint in this lifetime.
It obviously still is.
It's still a little bit of a karmic blueprint there. As a result of a little bit of an accident at work today.
With a name like Rocky, we should have like Rocky music in the background.
I was at an event with Doreen Virtue, and I got up and I was asked a question, and she said, "What is your name?" And she said, "Rocky." And she sort of walks across the stage. She says, "Rocky, eh?" And I said quietly into the mic, I said, "Yes, it's the most spiritual name on the planet." And everybody laughed in the whole place. But my childhood was very challenging. I learned a whole lot about how I'm not worthy. I learned a whole bunch about belief systems that said I am not worthy. And when I was 19 years old, when I moved out on my own, I had zero confidence and zero abilities in myself to do anything. So thus began my journey into adulthood, and which eventually led to a marriage that ended, and a wonderful indigo child in my life, my daughter Jen, who's the love of my life. And
we hear that term a lot these days, indigo.
Yes.
Maybe you can address that.
Well, indigo children, quite simply, are beings that have chosen to be here, that come here with a higher vibration. They are destined, literally, pre-planned, if you will, to come here and to make a difference. And the saying is they're here to break down the bastions that lack integrity. And they come here with a preordained imprint of knowing who they really are. And so they come here also in duality, which means they come here knowing who they really are, but also having to live in the human world of the three-dimensional world, which is a great conflict. And so that's why so many of them were misdiagnosed as ADHD, because when they're in school, they're learning a whole bunch of things they know are not true, and inside them, there creates chaos, and creates this, we'll call it this fight, but it's not really a fight, it's a rebellion against what they know is the illusions of our society. Why do people choose to hate each other? Why do people choose to fight? Why do people choose to lie? Why do people choose to be angry? All these things don't make any sense to indigos. My daughter has never understood any of this stuff, and it's foreign to her. And I've met many young, what I would call now young indigo adults, who are just coming into their 20s, 19s, and 20s, and 30, or 20, 21, 22, in that range. And so many of them now are here, beginning to take form and take a deep interest in all the things on the planet that need attention right now: the religious, the political, the banks, the medical, the science. Every institution, you go across the entire range, and there's indigos that are taking an interest in all of it. The environment. All of these things are areas where they are starting to show their faces. The Occupy movement, lots of indigos.
So there must be parents in the audience out there who are
Yes.
listening to what you're saying,
Yes.
and you're talking about indigos.
Yes.
And where did they go to learn about indigos and other?
It's extremely difficult, because most parents of indigos don't even have a clue what an indigo is, and probably wouldn't understand it anyways. So there are parents out there who in particular have come to me and said, "My child says she can do this and this and this." And what does that mean? indigos are like, well, it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Indigos have a wide variety of gifts. Some of them have intuitive abilities, some of them have psychic abilities, some of them have healing gifts, a wide variety of spiritual gifts. But some of them may not have any of those gifts at all. They may be just here to work hard to change something on this planet. So there is no definition of what an indigo is, but you can usually tell if a child is an indigo because they usually react to something that appears to be out of balance. And they continually react out to things on the news or in their life that are out of balance. Why does Uncle Charlie drink so much, and why does he beat his wife? Or that kind of thing, you know? And it just doesn't make any sense to them because it's out of alignment with love. And in their DNA, in the DNA of indigos, they are aligned with the divine. Mm-hmm. And they are aligned with truth, and they are here to bring into being a new way of doing things. And the
Right.
crystal children coming up behind them will solidify that. So that's a guarantee. It's going to happen on this planet. And what we are doing as light workers who are in the forefront, we can call them the scouts at the head of the army if you wish, but we are here to facilitate, to assist them in helping them get this going. We're here to help them, remind them of who they really are, to give them permission to be okay with who they are, and to love themselves. And that's really what our job is.
So how did you learn all this about indigos? Because there must have been somewhere you went to learn this, and somehow were enlightened on these subjects.
Yeah, well, I'm
Would
fortunate.
you be willing to share
Oh,
that?
sure. You know,
Okay.
I'm willing to share anything. I've stuck my neck out so far. My entire journey has been assisted with spirit guide intervention. And so everything that I've ever learned has been handed to me on a silver platter with spirit guide intervention, my spirit guides, and the assistance of my healer and her spirit guide team. So I have been working with them for 12 years. So they have told me who my daughter is. They told me where she comes from. They told me why she's here. They told me why she chose me as my father. They told me why she chose her mother as her mother. And they told me what she is here to do.
How did you meet your spirit guides, then I have to ask?
Well, through channel. Through channel, yeah.
And what brought you to that in your life? Because these are all
yes.
big questions, right?
Well, they're big questions, and like a lot of people out there who are, you know, in my age range, we had to go through an awakening. Mm-hmm. And I went through mine at age 38. I went through...
You're only 38?
I wish I was only 38. I can barely remember that. But I went through what we could simply call an emotional breakdown because the ego that I was and the person of out of balance that I wasn't listening to what I needed to do. And so I believe, and I haven't had this confirmed, but I believe that my spirit guides had an agreement with me before I came here to say, if Rocky didn't get this by this time, you're to pull the plug. And that's literally what happened. Overnight, I just had this emotional breakdown over a very minor incident, one of many that I'd had in my life, and so it was no big deal, but it crushed me. And I went into an emotional breakdown, which took 2 years to begin to understand, because I went through the whole Western medical thing, mm-hmm. and they were going like, gee, Rocky, are you stressed? And I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to die. You know, my head is raging, and I feel so sick, and I feel depressed all the time. And so they gave me pills, and of course we know what pills can do, absolutely nothing. And so it just sort of came to me, and you got to remember, I grew up in an environment where God and the angels and everything was absolutely not talked about. It was absolute nonsense. It was garbage. Right. And so I sat on my bed, and I'm still in this zone. I sat on my bed one night, and I'm feeling just awful, and I said these words, and I didn't even know that I created something new by saying these words. I sat on the edge of my bed, and I said, God, I need help. I didn't even know I'd said it, and help came.
It's amazing when we call to God, how help comes. It's just fascinating. See,
God doesn't care if I didn't know who God was or even acknowledge God at that point. God help me. So that's when I met this woman who is this healer. She's probably the most prolific, talented healer I've ever met in my entire life. And
can we ask who she is?
I'm not privileged at this point to say who she is.
Fair enough.
And I would need her permission.
Fair enough,
And
of
so
course.
we'll find out soon enough, though.
Okay.
She's going to be well known in her time, but she's extremely gifted in the healing of emotional energy. And her spirit guides are here specifically, their name is Mazandia, and they're here specifically to remind me of who I really am, not who I think I am. And along that line, I'm sort of following up in behind their teachings, and I'm reminding people of who they really are, not who they think they are, through teaching of energy, quantum physics, and belief systems, thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and how this all affects your entire reality. And they're the ones who taught me, and I learned step by step by step, layer by layer by layer of my own healing journey.
So, like, from what you're saying and from what you've shared thus far, you had just an ordinary everyday lifestyle, and events occurred in your life to basically make you do a 360 of who you are and what you represent. And essentially, this could happen to anyone at any time.
Absolutely, I'm just like anybody outside that door. I'm just another guy. The only thing I can say is that I've been given information about who I really am, over there. And I chose this difficult journey because I've been on this earth many, 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 many times, and it was time for me to make a difference. I'd chosen warrior lifetime after warrior lifetime. And in this lifetime, they said very clearly to me, this is a life where you let go of the sword of steel and you pick up the sword of light. And the sword of light is love. And so I've had to literally reprogram my entire being over 12 years.
You can hear it in your voice.
It's been a monstrous journey because, like you said, that's a good way to describe it. It's like taking the Titanic and turning it right around. It's a big deal. And I'm sure many people that are listening can relate to this. And so where I am today is I'm in a very privileged place to have been taught by these ascended masters the truth of how healing truly occurs on this planet. And it's much simpler than we think. Where we are challenged in our healing journey is our belief systems and the resistance of the ego to move forward, because we've been well entrenched for hundreds of thousands of years in disbelief systems and unworthiness. So it's time for each and every one of us to move forward now. As each and every one listens to this interview, they'll know, because they'll say to themselves, they'll say, yes, I have been feeling pushed. I have been feeling pressed. I've had emotional volcanoes going off in my life, and I don't understand why. Well, the truth is the new earth energy is here now today. And this new earth energy is demanding that we move forward. There is no more time for what they call karmic life after life after life. You didn't get it right this life, we'll try again. Didn't get it right this life, we'll try again. There's none of that anymore. There's a new earth, and you must show up.
How do we know this?
How do we know this? It comes down to trust and faith, doesn't it? If I didn't trust them, the spirit guides and the angels that worked with me.
Well, at this point now, you know for beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Well, I've walked the walk and I've talked the talk, so I have the evidence only in my own journey of my own healing. Letting go of the anger against my father took years and years, but when it left my body, it was an amazing feeling. It was a revolution in my new programming of who I am. So letting go of that feeling of anger and guilt and shame was absolutely astounding. But it happened layer by layer by layer, but then there was one crescendo energy release that was, you'd have to see it to believe it.
Monumental.
It was monumental. It was monumental, yeah. So that's sort of...
I don't have to see it to believe it, I can feel it.
Yeah. I've had so many experiences and conversations with spirit on so many subject matters, everything you want to talk about. I mean everything, aliens, universal energy, beings from other planets, life experiences on other planets, where we come from before we come to this planet. How old is this planet? Why was it created? Who created it? All these things were just handed to me.
Yeah, it's quite a resource. It's quite a gift that you've been handed, actually.
I'm very, very fortunate. I am, and here I am. I'm ready to share this with the world. I really am excited about this. and I'm grateful for this opportunity to share this through you.
Thank you. We're happy that you're here sharing. So, what does Rocky do these days right now? What does he do?
These days?
How does he share?
Well, Rocky does the same. I think the best way to describe it is as Eckhart Tolle once said. He was
Very
teaching people, 2 or 3 people at a time in a basement out wherever he was living. And I would say that's been my journey so far. But I've also been learning more about the art of teaching and the energy of teaching and what needs to be taught and how to teach it in a way that respects the energy of every person involved, whether they're spiritual or not, because my constituent is not just a spiritual community. My constituent is the globe. They've asked me to think big, and I'm an Aries, so I think big, and I dream big, and my constituent is the whole world. So wherever wherever I'm received, I will go, and I will share. It doesn't matter anymore, because it's the energy of your voice that reaches people's hearts. So it's not a righteous thing, it's an energy of welcoming. It's an energy of love, it's an energy of the heart, and no matter where I go, people will listen, and they can choose to walk away, or they can choose to take it in. It's not my job to decipher as to what is good for them or not good for them. My job is to simply share. And that's it.
It's no more money talks, it's word talks.
It's the heart talks. It's the heart talks. And that's it. And this is what we're all learning. We're all learning the power of the heart, the power of the consciousness, what it can create, because we've all been hidden, and we've had the truth hidden from us for so long. But those days are gone. Those days are gone. Each and every one of us will become aware. By the end of 2012, we will become aware of who we really are, and science of all institutions is going to prove it. We know this already. So there's already things happening on this planet. If you
Can you
do
give us some examples?
One example is the Large Hadron Collider project in Europe, which is a gigantic multinational project happening in Europe right now. It's a 22-kilometer long tunnel between the border of France and Switzerland, where some of the most intelligent quantum physicists on the planet and scientists on the planet are performing experiments, and they're trying to discover what they call the Higgs boson particle, which they believe exists. These experiments that they've been doing, the God particle. It's been dubbed the God particle. What they did was they did a sort of a sidebar experiment where they sent some energy particles underground from where they are to a place in Italy, and they discovered a particular particle that actually traveled faster than the speed of light, which left them stunned. Because according to all science, you got to remember that all science and all physics is based on the fact that nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. Imagine their shock when they discovered a particle that traveled faster than the speed of light. The whole theory of relativity, Einstein's theory of relativity, which is what all chemistry and physics and math and everything's based on this planet, is now possibly ready to be thrown in the garbage can, because it's not true. It's only partly true. So the world is ready for change, and when we discover all the other things that they're going to discover, what they're really going to do is they're going to discover something that we know in the spiritual community as the unified field. The unified field, of course, is the energy of the divine matrix, or as Cryon refers to it, an energy field that is biased.
Or morphogenetic field, as Rupert Sheldrake calls it.
Yes, an energetic field biased in love, an intelligent mind that actually reacts to consciousness. And so that is the field that reacts to consciousness now. It's just that they've never known that this field existed, but they're so close to proving it now. And so this field is going to be the catalyst to change how we feel about ourselves and how we think about ourselves and how we create on this planet for a long, long time to come on this planet.
Actually, Greg Braden has mentioned how it has been discovered prior, but has not been believed to be what it appeared to be.
Yeah, well, there was old-fashioned thinking that old-fashioned scientific proving principles, if you want to use that discounted it. There was an effort in the late 1800s and early 1900s for spirituality to take hold on the planet, and it came very close to happening, but it was sort of washed away. Thus we had World War I, World War II, and the Korean War, Vietnam War, and all those wars, but we had to go through another 100 years of that. But that field was very close to being discovered. There was a lot of thought that it existed, and so even though we are now so close to discovering it, even Einstein knew it existed, and he even said in one of his famous quotes that concerning matter, there's no such thing as matter, that we've all been wrong. He said matter is simply energy whose vibration has been so lowered as to be perceptible to our senses. So think about that. Matter is only energy whose vibration has been so lowered to be perceptible to our senses. In other words, our sight, our sound, our taste. So everything that exists on this planet is an illusion. Everything is an illusion based on energy and consciousness, which has created all of us, which the collective consciousness of the planet, when you get into that, it starts getting really complex. But everything that we do and see and create on this planet is a result of consciousness. And so
manifested thoughts.
Yes, manifested thoughts. That's how everything is created on this planet. Every single minute of your life, everything that happens to you in your life, you are creating it, no matter whether it's good or bad or whatever. You're creating it. And that's what we're going to learn. We're going to learn to take responsibility for ourselves, because there is nothing else. Collectively, as a group on this planet, the consciousness has to shift and has to change. We have to let go of the fear. We have to let go of the unworthiness. We have to come back to a place of love. You can say that the human being, when we're born as a baby, that you come as a ball of love. How does a ball of love suddenly become a person that is very challenged in life, or becomes a criminal or a murderer or anything else? Well, that has to be learned. And that's layers and layers of fear. Layers and layers of fear, abuse, all those kinds of things.
Which is fear.
Which is fear. So it actually covers up the love. So you can say that the human journey is very simply releasing the layers and coming back to the love that already exists in us. And so that's what we're doing as human beings. That's why we come here, is we come back to the love. It's not like we're coming back to God. We are God. Each and every one of us are God. So this energy of love, of pure love, of who we really are, is what we're coming back to. And this is a good metaphor. Just imagine these layers as like an onion of fear that we learn. We learn from our parents, from our society, from institutions, from the mass conscious energy of the planet that has been steeped in fear for so long. And we truly believe it exists. We truly believe that all this is real. Most people out there do. So there's an awakening happening that this is not real, and that we can shift and change everything. Just imagine if every person on this planet understood that, what we could do. Imagine what we could do about the ocean, clean up the oceans, and clean up the planet. We could eliminate all weapons on this planet. We could eliminate war, and the spirit guides tell me that will happen. Not in our lifetimes, but it will happen. It's going to take some time for the entire planet to grab a hold of this new consciousness. But this is a very important time in our history of this planet for people to realize that they have a lot more power in them than they ever realized. Not power over people, but power within to create beauty and love. And that's where we need to focus.
So Rocky's going to be at Astral, and he's going to teach some courses. Maybe, Rocky, you can tell everybody about those courses. What can they expect when they come to your course?
Well, we have 3 courses that I'm going to start teaching here. I'm going to teach them in rotation so that everybody gets a chance to be part of them. The first course will be energy manifest, or what did I say? Energy creation and manifestation. It's basically an introductory course into energy and how energy manifests. And so we'll get into what energy actually is. We'll get into how you create energy in the body. We'll get into how your beliefs and thoughts and feelings create an energy field. We'll actually do a demonstration on how that actually works, and we'll prove it to you. And then we'll slowly, at the end of the workshop, we'll start getting a little bit into quantum physics. Now, when I say that, please don't run away and turn off your computer, because quantum physics is not a scary subject. It's only a scary subject if you want it to be, but that's why we're leading into the second workshop, which is called...
What are you talking about? It's totally scary.
Yeah, well, it seems like it, but it's not. The next workshop, the second one, will be quantum physics for dummies, okay?
Okay.
And quantum physics for dummies is I'm taking all the goop and crap and everything, all the scientific, mathematics for them, and I've thrown them all out, and I've just taken the facts and I've put them into a sequence that relates to emotional energy in the body and how that creates your reality and what healing is really all about and what science knows about that, because what's happening is science and energy law or spiritual law are merging now. They're merging and they're becoming one. So we can't run away from quantum physics. We just need to embrace it. But we don't have to get into the technical stuff. We can just take the facts and let the scientists do all the technical stuff. We'll just take the results and learn from it. So we actually can say that for the first time in the history of spiritual people on this planet, the healers for thousands of years, we can actually now prove what we've been saying for thousands of years, the ancient tribes and the ancient scripts from thousands of years ago.
So would you agree then the energy law, as you called it, comes from faith or comes from ancient religions and other scripture?
I call energy law the law of the divine, the law of love.
Absolutely.
And it's an energy that's always been here. It's just we've never really understood it. And so the spirit guides have told me that that is the case, that we've never really, even in the times when we believed they understood, they didn't really understand it. But we're in a different paradigm now.
Because it would take being it and knowing it to understand it.
And it's so simple.
About it, right?
Yeah, that's true. It's so simple now, because what we really need to do is just get a little bit of information to understand the new processes. And it's not complex. It's very simple. And take these processes and start instituting them into your life, because we're so caught up in different processes and different ways of doing things. And it doesn't have to be difficult. The power within you is so strong that, especially now with the ramping up of the New Earth energy, that we don't need technical, difficult, long, prolonged religious experiences to manifest a new reality for ourselves. It's actually very simple. And so that's my goal, is to get people to understand that changing their life and changing their world and creating a world and a life for themselves that is based in peace and harmony and balance is actually achievable. And I'm doing it for myself right now, so I'm actually learning as I go here. So, I don't have it all figured out right now, but I am.
You're living it.
I'm living it. I'm living it. And you know what? If I don't, they remind me. They remind me. They remind me.
Well, Rocky, I've exhausted my questions. Is there anything you want to share that maybe I haven't asked you?
No, I just want to say to the people out there watching right now that there's nothing to fear on this planet. And I've been asked to share this message with Spirit, that fear is an old paradigm energy. And I really want you to know that fear is an illusion. It feels very real. It feels like fear is a part of everyone's life, and I can assure you that fear is something that is attached to a belief system. It's an energy field that is not real, and if you let it go and you release it, and I can show you how to do that, it's very simple, that your life will change, because you'll let go of the information and the fear that is a part of belief systems that has been there for a long time, and you let go of the information. You change the vibration by bringing in energy and information that is based in love. And so you raise your vibration, and you, through the law of attraction, start attracting a different life. It's literally like changing the radio station to a higher frequency.
But that doesn't mean your circumstances are going to change. It just means the fear is going to go away, right?
Your circumstances will change.
Okay.
Your circumstances will change. If you're in an abusive relationship, now you'll leave it. If you're lacking money, you'll have more money in your life. If you want a relationship that has deep meaning and love to you, you'll attract it. You can't attract to you that which you long for unless your vibration matches it. And that means you got to show up and you got to do the work. And that's what I've been doing for 15 years now, is I've been doing the work. And I didn't even know that I was doing that while I was doing this.
Okay, now you've used the word vibration many times.
Mm-hmm.
Can you define that? Because maybe there's someone out there who doesn't even know.
It's probably a technical term that may freak out some people, but vibration in our normal everyday world, you can say like your electricity that goes into your house has a vibration or a frequency of 60 cycles per second, so it goes like this 60 times a second, like a sine wave. Vibration is just an energetic frequency that you operate at.
That you operate at?
That you operate, you
humans
individually,
operate at?
we are just energy. This is not a physical body. This is just energy that's vibrating at a frequency.
Feels physical.
Yeah, it does. It does. So that's the beauty of the illusion of the veil of coming here. I am just a frequency. I used to joke and say, you know, we took some DNA and we took some carbon and we shook it all up and we gave it some information and we threw it all out and there's Rocky. You know, that the information is Rocky, and this is my karma, this is my karmic blueprint, this is my angelic name, this is my God code, this is why I'm here, this is my purpose, my soul. I'm born. So, vibration is simply a term that refers to a frequency of energy which you're vibrating at. If you say to yourself, I'm not a good person, or I'm ashamed of myself, or whatever, you vibrate at a low frequency. And you attract the equivalent to you in your life. If you let that go and say, I am free of my shame, I'm free of my guilt.
Why not just say I am God then?
It's easy to sit here and say that, but when you have these belief systems...
So it takes more than saying it.
It takes more than saying it, because this information still, your ego sits there and says to you, just who do you think you are? I've spent all these hundreds of thousands of years taking care of you. Yeah, you know what, you're not so hot, you know, we operate in some fear now, but at least I've kept you safe, and I've kept you in survival mode. So the ego goes into resistance and wants to keep you in that safe place that you have become accustomed to, and that safe place is a very limited place. You can't create what you want when you allow that vibration to continue to be your vibration. So you have to do the work. You have to show up and you have to put the mirror right to your face and you have to say, what are my beliefs? Who am I? And what do I really believe about myself? And every human being has a very large amount of unworthiness energy in them. It's the nature of the human race. It's the nature of the mass conscious energy. So we have to face that, and it doesn't have to be overwhelming and it doesn't have to be difficult. Right. That's what I've learned in this process of healing. It's actually a very gentle, loving, soft energy that allows for this information to gently be released, because it's not our belief systems anyways. It's not even who you are. It's usually mother and father. It's usually institutional. It's usually mass conscious energy. So it's not who you really are, but we hang on to it because we think we have to. Or this is the way it is, or I don't want to be different than anybody else.
The more layers you peel, the more you get to who you really are.
Yes, absolutely true. So the energy of the earth right now is so intense that the healing of these old belief systems can be very quick.
Right.
Very quick. And it's happening right now to every person, whether they like it or not. That's why you see so many emotional things happening on the planet. You see some shootings and the kind of things that you hear about, but you also sometimes 2x6s come and hit you, yes. But you also see good things on the planet happening. You see women in Iran daring to speak their truth. Mm-hmm. You see women in Africa creating small organizations with very little money to help women who were abused or left behind or beaten or whatever, and all of a sudden they're starting to have their own entrepreneurial adventures. These are the things that we don't see, you don't hear on the news, but these are the small things that are starting to happen all over the planet where people are claiming their power. They're claiming the feminine energy which is sweeping the planet right now, and they're taking it in, they're grounding it, and they're allowing it to free them from the past.
Well, thank you, Rocky.
Well, thank you very much.
For sharing everything with us. Thank you for joining us next month and for offering this course through Astral Connections.
Thank you.
We really look forward to it.
Yeah, lots of people out there. Come on out. I guarantee you we can make a difference together as a collective. Come on out and see me.
Thank you, Rocky.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.